Hey guys, welcome to a week with two major soundtracks coming out. One we're looking at today, Black Panther. If you're unaware, Black Panther is a Marvel superhero movie that's coming out on the 16th of this month, but the soundtrack has come out this Friday, a little early. And the executive producer of the soundtrack was actually no other than Kendrick Lamar, who recruited his Top Dog Entertainment, or TDE for short. And the soundtrack has some big names, some small names, all to just kind of show off their skills. 3 singles were picked for the promo for the soundtrack, with the lead single being All the Stars, which was Kendrick Lamar and SZA. The second track was then King's Dead, which had the main artist be J-Rock, even though it's kind of just a collab song. But anyways, like I was saying, it has J-Rock, Kendrick on it, Future, and James Blake. Then the final song that was used for promo was Pray For Me, which was Kendrick and The Weeknd. I was looking forward to this, but I was a little hesitant at the same time with the image that Kendrick has made himself into, of this the best rapper, kind of generally accepted as that by the majority of the community. So it was like, how is a soundtrack really gonna play into that, and is it really gonna help him that much? I was a little worried about that, but thanks for his role in it. It wasn't more like his album. It was actually like a soundtrack and not a bad concept album. The album is mainly speaking from two perspectives. One is the main character of the movie, Black Panther, and the other is his competitor, Eric Killmonger. The album kicks off with a one-verse track from Kendrick named after the movie and takes the perspective of the Black Panther as well. Then comes the lead single, All the Stars, with SZA, which is followed by two of the most featured heavy track that a lot of people were very excited for. X with Schoolboy Q, Saudi, and 2 Chainz. Saudi being a little lesser known out of these. And then there was also The Ways, which had Khalid and Sway Lee from Race Friend. A few more tracks down the list was King's Dead, the second single, followed by the Redemption Interlude and Redemption, the song that both featured Sakari, who you may remember from on Kendrick's album Damn, with Love. The LP closes out then with one of the more anticipated tracks, Big Shot, which has Kendrick and Travis Scott on it, and then it is then closed out with the final single, which was Pray For Me with The Weeknd and Kendrick. The title track has an immersive feel. Like, it's almost like Kendrick is putting you in a room with him and he's telling you this, and the piano is so eerie, and it's really unmatched on anything I've really ever heard like this before. But it's not perfect by any means, but it is a great leap at a intro rap track. All the Stars actually has 2 versions, the single version and the album version. We're going to be looking at the album version since this is the album. And SZA is definitely the highlight of the track. The amazing chorus, and with her vocals she really displays what she's able to do, and with this looming strings that happen behind her, it's all very, very well put together and very expensive, I kind of want to say, if that makes sense. But Kendrick, he only has one verse. It doesn't really stand out too much. He's the pre-chorus too, but there's nothing really too memorable about it. It's just kind of a rap verse, and a pretty average one. The track, however, did kind of take me a little while to get into. I wasn't really a fan of it until about when the soundtrack came out. It just seemed kind of bland to me at first, but after hearing it multiple times, it did kind of grow on me, and I started to see what I really liked about it. X is one of the strongest tracks on the LP. Starting with Kendrick's infectious chorus that really kind of gets you sucked into it, and then it leads into the Saudi's unique accent, which also is kind of very memorable and distinct. The production isn't too high quality. It's obviously done by some of the best guys in the game, but it's not an amazing trap production beat. It's just pretty average, but the rapping on the song is really what brings it up and really makes you want to re-listen over and over, especially with Schoolboy Q's verse. It then changes up finally for 2 Chainz, who delivers a pretty average verse, and I wasn't really expecting much from 2 Chainz, considering 2 Chainz is kind of a meme. The Ways has Khalid for the majority of the track. Sway Lee is more of like a feature who has a verse later on. But the track, nothing really stood out to me as that great about it. The chorus was sort of catchy, not really amazing. The verses were pretty alright, and but at the same time, there really wasn't anything on the other end either. Nothing was really bad. The production was all up to par with what it at least should be with this, and Cooley obviously has an amazing voice and displays it full force here. But the reason I'm talking about this song though is because I feel like this is the worst it really gets. Like the worst few tracks on the album are all kind of like this, where it's just they all work, but they're just not amazing, but they're not bad at all either. A beat paired with SOB and RB's lyrics gives for a very entertaining verse or song on Paramedic along with Kendrick. Every member from SOB and RB really deliver with their verse, and they all sound different and unique, but yet it stays very consistent throughout the entire track, which really makes the listener not really daydream, and it really makes them pay attention to what's going on. King's Dead is an unmatched song. It's probably my favorite on the album so far, but it starts off with J-Rock's kind of ever so slightly changing verse that is very memorable and gets stuck in your head quite easily. And then obviously a little bit later on there's the kind of mimi la-di-da-di-da with Future. Not to forget about Kendrick going off once the beat changes later on. I actually believe he did this part of this when the Grammys opened. Seasons features the South African Sejava, is how I believe you pronounce his name, who sings in Zulu. The tune is a very slow blues tune, and it really differs from anything else on the album. And the rappers, everybody on it kind of sounds like more of a 90s track than really anything modern, which really makes it stand out. Big Shot probably has the most memorable beat on it, with this flute that just kind of flutters around, while Kendrick and Travis kind of have these energetic vocals that they just throw at you. The chorus of the song was actually partially borrowed from the Rich the Kid track that also featured Kendrick, New Freezer, and the chorus was a part of Kendrick's verse on there, and he just kind of took it, added a little bit, changed it a little bit, and put it on here. Pray For Me was a track I was a little bit more disappointed by than a lot of the others, considering Kendrick and The Weeknd have a great possible all the things they could do. They kind of made this just kind of not really progressive or moving track at all. It just kind of sounded like a boring R&B rap track, when I really feel like they could make a lot more. The chorus seemed rather boringly repetitive at times, especially when The Weeknd saying "Pray For Me" in this kind of not really catchy way. The beat comes off as a little bit slumpish with this kind of bass that is repeated throughout the entire track, but really it's the only thing that you can really remember from it, but it's not really even that good of a thing to remember. Kendrick definitely brought what he thought was right for the album, and maybe because of guidelines for what he was told when he was given the job to make this, for some reason it just didn't really come out to the typical level of what I would consider a Kendrick album, and which is why I'm going to really give this a 7. I may be sounding like the 7 is a little high for what I've been talking about, but that's mostly just because Kendrick, his previous work has all been such on the top tier of music, and this I felt was like a tier 2 down, which is still very good, but it doesn't really compare to a lot of the other work he's done. So let me know what you guys thought of the soundtrack and the review down in the comments below, and tell me what you guys want me to look at next. Talk to you soon. Bye.